everybody? Welcome back.
What it do? Welcome to the best place on the internet to get free game about real estate, and like we always say, free game about life. There's no one else you can get this. I'm Gary the Great, in case you didn't check me on the last episode.
And I'm DMD the GOAT, #1 real estate professional in the greater Seattle area.
The one and only. My boy. Yes, sir. We back again.
Yeah.
How you feeling real quick, man?
I'm good, man. We started this morning off with some excellent conversation.
Great conversation. Much needed conversation.
We're graced by my brother Sonny here to be here with us. Shouts out to Warlord, cop some gear. But I'm happy to be here, man. How you feeling?
Likewise, I'm feeling blessed and highly favored.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling chosen a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how I'm feeling.
Hey, a little sprinkle on that.
That's how I'm feeling today. You know, not often you get to feel like that. So
we in here.
We got some good knowledge and information to drop on y'all as usual. And we got one thing we're really gonna hone in on today, do a little bit of a deep dive on, and just this is gonna be valuable information from the perspective of a buyer, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody who's looking for their first house, who's looking to make the upgrade, who's looking to get into real estate. Like, this is all about, really, this is probably, correct me if I'm wrong, this is probably one of the first steps you need to take to successfully move forward in the entire home buying experience. This is the #1 step that needs to take place. So again, I say this all the time, you're one of the first people to really embed this in my mind and get me thinking about this on a constant basis. So I'm gonna let you introduce what that concept is and bring it to the conversation.
All right, let's keep this simple.
I like simple.
The buyer mindset consists of you just being a good person.
So the buyer mindset.
It just consists of you being a good person in life. I feel like what does that mean? You know, having a good moral compass. I know it's a little bit different, but we're gonna talk to the higher being here. Mm-hmm. Having a good moral compass, having a good, standard, being respectful. I think when you're going into the process of buying a home, if you just carry if you carry good energy and you stay optimistic, you're gonna be fine.
That's the word, 100%.
Because it's easy to get discouraged. When you don't win that offer on a house, or the seller chooses another offer because of price, and your heart's in it. When you're a good person, you keep it simple, and this is gonna more transition. The good person's gonna transition more into the buyer etiquette part of it all. But if you just hold this perspective, like, yes, this is my moment, this is my time, then I believe that you will find that house that you're setting out to buy.
100%. There's a lot of different elements when it comes to buying a home, right? Finding a realtor, finding a lender or a bank, getting all the pieces to the puzzle to successfully move forward. It takes the right mindset to successfully do all of that stuff and conquer that stuff. So I totally agree with you. Like, I was talking to some buyers yesterday at an open house, and they were just talking. They had the right mindset in terms of the optimism. They were excited about buying a home. They were jazzed up. But their biggest setback was just finding somebody who was willing to take the time to grow with them and kind of teach them and show them the ways. Mm-hmm. So that, for me, it kind of resonated. Like, it brought light and joy to my heart, because I've seen people who were in the right mindset, and that attracted me, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, oh, okay, now we got a synergy. Now we got our first call on Monday. Mm-hmm. Boom. Now we're taking steps forward because they were in that right mindset. So I agree. And the element that I would consider too, or highlight when it comes to getting into the buyer's mindset, is optimism, but also realism. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Be optimistic in terms of, this is my goal, this is what I want, but also be real about it. Mm-hmm. In order to be real about it, you gotta meet the right people, you gotta connect, you gotta learn and educate yourself.
No, I'm gonna challenge you on that.
Talk to me.
Because I believe that we have to live a supernatural life. And I won't go too deep into that. We have to have a supernatural understanding of what realistic actually means. Mm-hmm. And I think one good step, we talked about this in another stretch that we've done, but stop listening to people. I had a client reach out to me the other day. He said, they said this is a bad time to sell. It's the bad time of the year. We're in fourth quarter right now. It's a bad time of year. I said, no, you know what? Negate that, forget that. Just focus on, this is the best time of year. Stay optimistic, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, he was pending. Mm-hmm. So it's like, stop listening to other people. When you're building your mindset, focus on being you, staying in a high state of, gratitude and humility and optimism, and then shape your reality based off of how you want that to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm challenging it on the point of stop listening to other people,
mm-hmm.
Create your own reality, but then don't expect to buy $1 million house when you're only approved for $500,000.
And that's my big. That was what I was really getting at right there. I was like, when I'm talking about realistic, I'm talking about knowing what you can afford and knowing how you kind of need to proceed forward. If you don't got a job, if you know what I'm saying, like, you ain't gonna get approved. You got a 520 credit. No, that's still realistic.
Not bad.
But right? I totally agree, having that optimism. And then also, we talk about manifestation a lot and the things that you want to project out into the world and attain. So even though it may not be realistic at this very moment or attainable at this very moment, anything's realistic to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's the $250,000 condo now, and in 5 years from now, it's the $1 million spot or the $750,000 house. You know what I'm saying? Setting that goal and projecting it out there too.
Facts.
So I totally agree with you. Now, the transition from getting into the mindset and something we're going to correlate with getting into the mindset is buyer's etiquette. And what that means. Buyer's
This
etiquette.
is actually a thing.
This is actually a thing. Now, real quick, before we dive in, let me define the definition of etiquette.
It's so
we're
thing.
clear. So,
Real thing.
etiquette is the customary code of polite behavior in society or
Being a
among
good person.
members of a particular profession or group. So it's a certain way of behaving, especially when you're going down a certain path, right? So it's like buyer's etiquette when it comes to buying real estate, for instance. Etiquette.
Yeah.
Polite behavior. Good person. We both have been through situations where it's like...
I'm laughing because I've never heard anybody talk about buyer etiquette. It is a real thing.
It's a real thing, 100%. We might even coin this term one day.
And I remember and now I'm not saying that if you're not a nice person or if you're not a kind person or if you don't fit this mold, blah blah blah, that you're a bad person. No judgment.
Or you can't get out.
I gotta show. Yeah. You're gonna win. You're gonna find a way to win either way. But the buyer etiquette piece comes in where you have you ever had somebody get pre-approved before and you spent time with them and then they go with another agent?
Oh yeah, or another lender.
Another lender.
Lender. Yeah, no, I literally had a situation where a dude hit me up. He was like, Gary, I was gonna say his race, but that's not even important. And he was like, I found you on the internet. He was like, I worked with somebody with Caliber before, but I called some other people, they weren't available. You were the first one to answer. Oh, so I'm going out of my way for you. Really? Okay, yeah, you were the first one to answer on the weekend.
You're the most professional.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, absolutely, I got you. Let's go. Let's take care of you. So he submitted all his documents. We got him fully approved. He was looking for a certain type of product that I didn't necessarily advise. He wanted to do an ARM product, which is an adjustable rate mortgage. I was like, in this market, that's not necessary. Anyways, long story short, he ended up using my pre-approval letter to win the offer of a house.
Jeez.
And then end up changing on me to a different bank when it came time to execute the contract.
Oh, man.
That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt, to be completely honest. And is it my, is it my choice to say what's best or what's right for him? No, but I think there was a certain level of etiquette that could have been met a little bit better.
And I had a buyer, and that's cool. But at the same time, no judgment. People are gonna do what they're gonna do.
And he might refer me a buyer.
That's true.
This guy Gary was.
He was the only one who
was on the
phone.
weekend. I was sending my family.
And that's why you don't throw no shade, because I think that that energy comes back around anyways. And I've had clients where they've switched, chose to go a different direction, but then they do in fact end up referring their family because they're like, hey, even though this didn't work out, I still respect how you handled the situation.
Exactly.
You didn't cuss me out.
Exactly.
You didn't, yell at me. You weren't upset. You didn't throw shade. You were just, present. And I'm like, that's cool. But buyer etiquette, I think, is a big thing. And I had one particular family on my side, which is a perfect example of buyer etiquette, in my opinion. We had looked at a few houses. We lost one bid. And then this opportunity came up where it was off market. They drove by it. And they called me and said, hey, we really like this house. Can we go tour it? And I said, hey, okay, no problem. And then I called the agent and he goes, hey, it's not on market, but the seller wants to sell it, but he's not paying any buyer agent commission, which would be my commission. Mm-hmm. And so I called my client and I'm like, man, that's rough. This is the perfect house for them. Now this might be a little bit extreme from the standpoint of etiquette, but this is more like loyalty. This is love. This is love. Like this is the perfect house for them. And there's always going to be a perfect house for you. So you just have to continue to find that every day when you're under search. Free game. But perfect house. And then I said, hey, but this is the scenario. Either you guys have to compensate me for the buyer agent on the buyer agent commission side, or if you're so opposed to it, then you guys can just buy the house. And then I'll just let you deal with their team. And they call me back like 30, 45 minutes later, and they say, you know what? We started with you. We're gonna finish with you. I said, man, I'm getting goosebumps, bro.
Oh, that's something special.
To me, like that, I think that's just being a good person because you're respect.
Agreed.
And they're not in real estate,
Agreed.
but they just respect, But it's kind of like these builders out here who only paying 1%, like in the summer, to sell these for agents to come sell their listings because it's so hot. But then now they're offering concessions to go on trips and do this because the market's slowing down and there's pause because we're in fourth quarter and I'm not gonna say the market's slowing down, but there aren't as many homes on the market for sale, and so they're raising up their commissions, they're changing their strategy in the fourth quarter. So it's like, I think that we could talk about another end, but my point is buyer etiquette and staying optimistic and just being a good person. That all those things shape into the mindset of doing well in this market, in my opinion.
Well said. I like how you brought all that together too and put it all in perspective. And I agree with all that. And there's some of the underlying values within everything you said too. It comes down to that trust, respect, and communication. And I think that when you head down this journey, since it is one of the biggest investments in most people's lives, I think it's worth taking the time to find somebody to establish that trust, respect, and just expectations with. If you're going to a big bank, be mindful of that because you're not always going to get that love, that touch of personalism, that touch of just having that real relationship with somebody that cares about you as an individual and what you're trying to truly accomplish. Like, be picky with who you work with and take your time with it. It's okay. Like, if it takes you a few weeks or even a couple months to find those right people to work with and build that relationship with, I think it's worth it every single time because it'll make the whole process good. You'll feel good about it. You'll be set for your next chapter, right? In terms of, I got my first starter home. Now I'm ready to level up. I already know DMD is going to teach me about that, and he's going to be there for me when I'm ready to go from the starter home to the investment home or whatever it may be. Those relationships are critical in making all this happen and get into the mindset. So set your expectations, write down your expectations. If you're doing it with a partner, write it down. This is what we want. This is what we want this experience to be like. This is what we want it to feel like. This is the type of person and people that we want to work with in terms of people that share those values to make it happen. So get yourself into that right psyche and mentality and come with some etiquette too. You know what I'm saying? There's a side of a role that you play in that as a buyer as well. So
and I think and to conclude here, and I'll let you finish off. This conversation just on this one piece, like, redefines how to think of yourself as a buyer.
That's why we focus so.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never heard anyone talk about how to be a buyer.
Never.
You talk about the buying experience, but nobody talks about how to be a buyer.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? And I think all of these things, hopefully, like, everyone who's watching, like the bigger intention, everything, all of this is pushed by love and good energy. That you walk away after hearing this episode and you say, man, I feel like I can be a more well-informed buyer. I know I know what shoes I need to put on in order to go on this journey. Because we're telling you, and this is only one snapshot of it and it goes deeper than this, but I think this is a revolutionary conversation because it's so simple, but I've never heard anybody talk about it.
And its power is so powerful.
And it's real.
100%.
So we good, man.
Great topic to talk about. And so to bring it all together, wrap it up, again, this is Free Game Fridays where, this is one of the best places on the internet to get free game every single Friday. You're going to get this from us every Friday. It's going to be, real estate game. It's going to be life game. We put that all together. It just creates success in a lot of different ways. So appreciate you guys tuning in. There's a reason why we spent this whole episode talking about the mindset. So take a little bit of time to reflect. If you're ready to buy that place, if you're ready to take those steps, get yourself into the right mindset first. Set your boundaries, set your expectations, become that buyer's etiquette, the ideal of buyer's etiquette, and then go from there. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. See y'all next week.
All right, you guys. First.